let's talk about the Crusades. I am a big supporter of the principle of the Crusades, and for the most part, the outcome, even though there were some atrocities committed. That right there ought to tell you something. That's part of my support right there. So first, let's just start with what I used to think, what I used to believe. As you know, I'm now a Catholic. But I don't have to be a Catholic to study history and to find out real history. A Christian student of any persuasion can study history and find out that the Crusades were a good thing, unfortunately in response to several hundred years of Islamic aggression. Now let me tell you what I used to think, okay? I used to think that the Crusades were committed against Muslims and Jews to expand Christianity, a bit of a forced conversion, I guess you could say. And as a Christian, whenever this was brought up to me about those terrible Crusades, I had to easy out. Those were those Catholics, not really Christian people, you know. So that was my excuse. And, you know, some people didn't know there was a difference, and others know there's a difference and would just buy it. I bought it myself. I wasn't trying to deceive nobody. So what I've done here, I've got notes, so I am going to be looking down from time to time. By the way, don't forget, Fat Puppy, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Anyway, there's my advertisement right there. So the world tries to teach us this is something that Christians, Catholics, whatever, should be ashamed of. But we have nothing to be ashamed of as far as the principle and outcome. Again, I admit there were atrocities. They were dealt with. So what happened was that Pope Urban II responded to a call of help, SOS if you will, from the Byzantine Emperor, you know the word, Alexius. The Crusades were actually a defensive war. We only invaded, the Christians only, okay, so it's thought that the Crusades went and they invaded, and they invaded, and they invaded till they got to the Holy Land. When honestly speaking, all they were doing is taking back land that had already been invaded by the Muslims. 400 years of Muslim aggression and expansion into Christian nations. 2/3 of Christian nations, Christian territory, whatever you want to call it, had been conquered by the Muslims. Now, when this call for help went forward, it was recognized that with 2/3 of the Christian world already conquered, that Europe was next. Spain had already been conquered. Spain was a Muslim nation at this time. Now, so here's the thing. This many of the things I come up with. It's a natural thing for the Muslim Islamic religion to conquer and invade. It's what they're taught in their Quran. And I have a Quran. I've looked up the verses, okay? It's what they're taught. Christians, on the other hand, are taught by the examples and the words of Jesus that to turn the other cheek. We're not supposed to be invading territories. Now, I know some of y'all say, oh, we're Americans, that's what we do. I'm not getting all that. I could debate you on that, but I'm not getting all that right now. This is about Christianity, which is bigger than America. So, actually, Christianity had to come up with a theory. It's called just war, and it was expounded on, developed by, we Catholics call him St. Augustine. You may just call him Augustine. And he come up with this theory, and it was expanded on and more clearly defined, I guess would be the right word, as time went forward. And the teaching was that violence should be avoided as much as possible, but at a certain point, a Christian has a right to self-defense. They're justified in it. To be fighting back against an aggressor. Now, what he come up with that it has to be, for one thing, it has to be self-defense. Has to have a reasonable chance of success and proportional to the evil involved. In other words, if a Muslim were to attack me, okay? Let's say my neighbor is a Muslim and he were to attack me. It's okay for me to push back and attack him back. But it's not okay for me to go kill his family, okay? That's what they're talking about here. Now, in contrast, Muhammad himself developed a concept called jihad. Now, jihad has several different meanings, several different levels. But primarily, it's about waging war on unbelievers in order to subjugate them and to expand the influence of Islam. Again, Christians, by contrast, I mean, we had to explore and come up with a reason to do self-defense. It was not in our theology. It was not in our natural teachings. It was not in the teachings of Jesus to go to war. I know he flipped over tables at one point, and there's another point where he told disciples to have a knife handy. Okay? I know that. So, I'm just going to read you two of the commandments that Muhammad commanded. These are verses in the Quran. I've looked them up. There's actually plenty more. I'm just going to give you two. We shall cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. That's in Surah 3:151. 151. There's another one where he says, then kill the disbelievers wherever you find them. Capture them. Besiege them. And lie in wait for them. See, that is natural Islamic teaching. Now, I know that not all Muslims believe that, but you know what? If they don't believe that, they're just not believing what their Christian religion, what their Islamic religion teaches. See, we had no such instructions in the Bible. So what about all the atrocities that happened? Everything that gets the bad press, what happened? So yes, Jews were killed. Atrocities were committed. Atrocities were committed against Islamic citizens who were not soldiers, who didn't want no part of anything. They just wanted to live their lives peacefully. Yes, there were atrocities. It did happen. However, any Christian doing so was doing so in violation of the teachings of the Christian faith, the Catholic faith, popes. They were doing it in violation of all of that. Whereas, again, the Muslim was doing it in obedience. Excuse me. A researcher named Dr. Bell Warner come up with, I don't know how he come up with it, but his research showed, remember I said that the Crusades were they were defensive in nature. And Dr. Bell Warner showed that there are 500 aggressive battles by the Muslims, whereas there was 15 by the Christians. Now, I'm not sure what he defines as aggressive battles, but that's what he come up with. Perhaps you can do your own research. So, you know, Jesus said turn the other cheek. I'll be honest with you, I'm not good at turning the other cheek. I'm just not a turn the other cheek kind of guy. It's something I have to really, you know, I mean, not that I'm tested every day or nothing, but just in my nature, I'm just not that kind of person. 400 years is a lot of turning the other cheek. Atrocities were not supported by the Catholic Church, neither. Not only was it that Christianity didn't believe this, but the Catholic Church also did not support this. For instance, the sacking of Constantinople, this happened in the Fourth Crusade, was against the explicit directions of the Pope at that time. And all involved were excommunicated. Now, in order to get people to go to war, to fight the Muslims, now, it was a different world back then. They didn't send the poor. The poor didn't have horses. The poor didn't have armor. The poor had no way of fighting. It was kings that went. It was princes. It was dukes. It was noblemen that went. And they all went with the promise that all your sins, now you can argue whether this is biblical or not. This ain't about that. But all your sins would be remitted away from you if you were to go into war with the Muslim aggressions. And if you were to die in battle, well, then that would be automatic entry into heaven, basically, which is something that even now I think Christians believe it. If you die for the name of Christ, you're a martyr, you go to heaven. That was the hook to get them to go, to leave home, to take their horses, to go into battle, and to fight. But that and the fact they knew if they didn't fight there, they would have to fight at home, in which case, you always want to fight a war away from home if you can. You don't want the war to be on your doorstep. And then they turned around and got excommunicated for their actions. So yes, I support the whole notion of the Crusades. No, I do not support everything that happened there. Do you know that we went to war against Germany and yet we committed war crimes in Germany? How many cities did we bomb of people? Not military targets. This was an effort to break the will of the people. This is what it was for, but it was war crimes. Yet, had we not done that, had we not defeated Germany, we might be goose-stepping everywhere we go and yelling, "Heil Hitler!" And there's an important message right after this you should listen to.
Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe.
And when you subscribe, there will be a bell that will show up on the right-hand side of the screen. Hit that and you'll get notified every time I upload a video. Thank you.